Hey everybody, the Super Vader 400 here, back for another retro review, and this time I'm reviewing issues 19 through 24 of the Eternal Champions comic book, of the Eternal Champions comic book, which is a part of the much larger Sonic the comic. Of course, the Eternal Champions comic book is an adaptation and sequel to the 1993 Sega Genesis fighting game, The Eternal Champions, and this was released as a promotional tie-in with the video game. Of course, of course, I recently did a review on both issues of the Eternal Champions. That was issues 19 through 24 and issues 37 through 41, which is Larson's Revenge. But as much as just like with my Killer Instinct review, comic book review, I loved the video but wasn't happy with the final result, so I decided to redo this video, and I'm gonna review both chapters individually, and like I've said in previous videos, I like to do multiple videos on the same topic until I get the one I want. Till I get the one I want. So yeah, I'm not a real critic. I'm just a guy on the internet giving his opinions on what I like and don't like, and let's get started with this comic. Like I said in my last review of the Eternal Champions, I've been looking for this comic for about 7 years now, since 2009. I first 2009. I first heard about this and the Killer Instinct comic, and I've been trying to find. I've been searching for both of those comics for a long time now, and finally, thanks to the YouTube user Mortal Kombat Comics with a K for anyone who wants to look up that channel. That channel will be in the description box below. I finally got to read both of these comics. I finally got to read both of these comics, and so happy I found this comics. And I've read this issue about several times. The issue you see me review right now. This is my favorite of the two. This is my favorite of the two chapters. Favorite of the two chapters. I've read this one about several times, and man, it's that entertaining. It's that awesome. The only thing I do not like about this comic is while the action sequences are great, the characters in the comic use their special attacks from the video game. There isn't a lot of there isn't a lot of action. There isn't a lot of action for what is supposed to be a fighting game. What is supposed to be an adaptation of a fighting game. There isn't a lot of action. At least it has more actions than the Mortal Kombat comics, but yeah, there isn't a lot of action. And secondly, the other thing I'm disappointed about is that there's not more. There wasn't more issues after this, and of course, going to there wasn't more issues after this, or let's say a remake, a remake of Eternal Champions with modern day comic book art in a brand new story. But like I said, this was a pretty cool comic, and it's already one of my all-time favorite comics. Of course, the plot appears to be set sometime after the game because the characters in the game keep referencing the video game itself, the tournament, and several gameplay modes in the video game, such as the battle room mode. So it appears to be set sometime after the first video game, the Eternal Champions video game, and the plot centers around Shadow Yamato leading the Eternal Champions, Rax, Blade, Jetta Max, Midnight, Xavier, Slash, and Trident on a mission to stop Bo Nakano of Nakano Industries from unlocking the secrets of the BioKey technology Of course, Bull Nakano, for those of you who don't know, that's the person who killed Shadow Yamato, and now Shadow Yamato is leading a team to stop him from unlocking the bio key technology and saving not only the present but the future, future. Um, the the comic starts off with Bull Nakano at at Nakano Industries. At Nakano Industries, he hears a sound. Shadow Yamato appears out of nowhere and says that is the sound of justice and knocks him to the ground. Bull Nakano is shocked to see Shadow Yamato alive. Shadow Yamato alive, but this time he will be sure that she will die and will not return. And Shirimoto tells him, "I'm not fighting alone." And here's where the other champions, make their entrance, and they do battle with Bull Nakano's guards, who are bounty hunters who dress in black with shoulder plaques and use blasters. The Eternal Champions do battle with them, and work cohesively as a team until um, Slash Slash and Blade deviate from the mission, deviate from the mission and try to attack Bonacano, and of course those two along with Shadow get captured, and it's up to Trident, Midnight, Xavier, Jetamax, Larson, and of course Larson to rescue them and of course in the next issues Rax and the team get transported to Rax's stage, the Cyberdome, where they participate in a bunch of mock combat contests, contests, and accidentally take the place of the real Cyberdome and the real Cyberdome warriors, and they do battle with them. Then Bo Nakano, while he is testing Slash, Blade, and Yamoto, um um the machine malfunctions when they try to read Slash's when they try to probe Slash's mind. That fails, and the machine breaks, and Blade, Shadow, and Slash are now free, and with um they meet up with Rax and the team who have just escaped the Cyberdome, but it's all too late as Bo Nakano has unlocked the secrets of the Bio Key, which is some giant helicopter tentacle spaceship which is some helicopter with tentacles. That's pretty much what the Bio Key Bio Key was, and they do battle with Bo Nakano's machine. With Trident destroying Bo Nakano's machine and appearing to have killed him. But in the in the next chapter, Bo Nakano reveals that he's still alive. Only he is now confined to a wheelchair, and the Eternal Champions get a call that they're needed elsewhere. And this awesome comic ends here. Like I said, awesome comic, pretty good story, pretty good science fiction story. I like how this comic not only adapts the game, it's a follow up to the video game. It's a follow up to the video game, and love the comic book art. In the last video, I said it was 90s. It was similar to 90s comic book art. It's actually similar to 1960s, 70s, and 80s comic art. Only it's set in the early 90s. I would like a modern comic with today's art and maybe a brand new story, or hell, even a continuation of this. I wish they would have went back to other people's time I wish the Eternal Champions would have went back to other people's time, correcting the mistakes made in those time periods too. In those time periods too. But this right here, like I said, was a great comic. I've read it like several times, and even after reading it, I always go back and look at the cool pictures. Look at the cool pictures. Well, this was my review of issues 19 through 24. I'm gonna do issues 37 through 40 next. All right, Super Vader done.